So you're the people to talk to because I saw Pompeii, so now I get to verify if what I actually saw is true, false, correct, accurate, or not. Now, you both have seen the movie, right?
Yes.
All right. How accurate, how true to life from each of your perspectives? Because you're an archaeologist and you are a...
Volcanologist.
Okay, volcanologist. So how accurate and what did you think of the movie?
Well, I love the movie. And even though, it's not absolutely point-by-point accurate, it gave a very good general depiction of the volcanic eruption and of the events. So I thought was fabulous.
So how common is volcanic activity across the globe?
Volcanic activity is very common. In fact, right at the moment, we have a volcano in Indonesia that's erupting in the same way that Vesuvius did, pretty much.
Wow.
But a lot of the time you don't hear about volcanic activity because, if it doesn't kill people or cause destruction, you don't tend to hear about it.
Okay. So what made the volcano that went off in Pompeii so special? Why has it stood the test of time, and why did we study it in grade school, and why are they making movies about it now? What made it so spectacular?
What is really spectacular about that eruption of Vesuvius is the fact, first of all, it was a very large eruption. And second, the fact that it destroyed a city that was found many, many years later, and the city was preserved. So there are other volcanic eruptions that are just as big or bigger, but I think what made the 79 AD eruption so important was the fact that it preserved these Roman cities. In fact, Vesuvius is probably the best studied volcano, and that eruption is probably the best studied eruption of all time.
So that's a great segue because you get to study the archaeology of Pompeii, right?
Yes.
So how accurate was the portrayal in the movie?
Yes, I thought the director did a wonderful job at bringing this city to life. There were certain details in this movie that were just what we find in the archaeological record. The streets, the way they were constructed, the political graffiti on the walls of the buildings, the social tension between the people of Pompeii and Rome. These are all things that we know of from the archaeological record and from the historical record.
Now, how did you get into archaeology? How does one go about becoming an archaeologist? Because it sounds pretty fascinating.
I got into archaeology in a single moment. It was a love affair that began when I was 20 years old in the Roman Forum. I traveled to Rome, I went into the Forum, and I fell in love right then.
So do you get hired a lot to work with movie studios when they produce movies that require going back to a certain time period?
I haven't done consulting in terms of movie production. I've done a lot of talking head projects, documentaries. I dig in Israel, so we've had crews come over there and talk to us about specific sites.
Yeah, it's very fascinating.
Yeah.
So how much do you love or hate the portrayal of Indiana Jones? Because that's most people's association with archaeology.
A lot of people get their backs up about it. I think it's fun. And really, any movie, any book that gets people interested in history and interested in the field and thinking about these things, it's a positive thing.
Okay. So you don't mind the association with running through the forest, the whip, the hat, the whole thing?
I wish it was that exciting all the time.